And I guess for 10.9b, we're going to take these equations of circles that we kind of talked about. We're actually going to start not graphing. We'll have a graphing one at the end, but we're going to go ahead and start talking about these equations and what your equation of a circle is going to look like, how to get it into how we need to away from standard form. So here we're going to start off with a review. Write the equation of a circle with a radius of 3. So here's our R, and with a center of 1, 2. We need to remember that our center is our lowercase h, lowercase k. Our formula is, it should be an x minus h squared plus y minus k squared, all equal to our radius squared. So just substitute everything in. We have y minus a positive 1, so it's just y minus 1. Sorry, x, I'm doing it again. X minus 1 squared plus, then we have our y minus a positive 2, so it's just y minus 2 squared is equal to our radius of 3 squared, and 3 squared is 9. So that's just a reminder of what we talked about yesterday. Now we need to talk a little bit about going back to kind of algebra here, all right? When we need to multiply x times 3 squared, or any two algebraic expressions, one nice easy way you guys have learned is kind of like these Punnett squares here, okay? We know that x plus 3 squared is going to be x plus 3 times x plus 3. So we can plug it in up here. X plus 3 is one of them, and then the x plus 3 down here. So we go to each square, we go x times x is x squared. Over here we have 3 times x is 3x. Down here we have x times 3, 3x. Right here, 3 times 3 gives us 9. Then we come over here and say, okay, we had x squared. We had 2 3x's, so that means 6x plus that constant of 9. Okay, so there's our multiplying right there. Now, when we do our trinomial factoring, going the other direction, taking this and going the other direction to come up with this, we need to remember to figure out what we're adding, like this plus 3 and plus 3. The way we need to remember to do this is we need to ask ourselves, what number adds to equal negative 12 right here, and the same number, what number we need to multiply, multiplies to get 36, okay, right here. So we need to remember that this equation right here is actually broken down to, we have ax squared plus bx plus c. So that a, b, and c are going to come into play and be really important here in a minute. So what number can we adds to equal negative 12, but also multiplies to get a positive 36? The answer is going to be a negative 6. Negative 6 plus another negative 6 gives me negative 12. Negative 6 times negative 6, negative times a negative gives me a positive 36. Okay? So that helps us determine here that we're going to have x minus 6, since it's a negative, minus 6, times x minus 6, factoring that trinomial, which that in turn becomes just an x minus 6 squared. So all we did is we took number 2 and we went the absolute opposite direction. Okay, we took our trinomial, we factored, and got we got our perfect square. And this right here is called your perfect square trinomials. And that's what we'll be dealing with today. Okay? So, again, it's already written down at the bottom, but to reiterate, our equation here is it should be an a in front of here, honestly. Ax squared plus bx plus c. To find c, which is what we're going to do for example 1 down here, to find c, we need to remember a very important formula. This is going to be b, whatever's in front of x, divided by 2, and then we square it. Okay, so this is going to be the formula that we're going to be using. So here we're going to complete the square. We have a squared plus 8a plus blank. Well, we know that this letter right here, this is going to be b. I know it's kind of confusing because it says a. but this is your b, and to find what we're adding or subtracting over here, we need to use that b squared, b over 2 squared. So here, b is equal to 8. So to find c, we need to take 8, divide it by 2, and then square it. So 8 divided by 2 is going to give us 4 squared, which will give us 16. So that's what we plug in here. Okay. The next problem we're looking at here, we have x squared minus 6x plus blank. Well, here, b is a negative 6. Okay. So c with our formula is going to be a negative 6 divided by 2 all squared, which a negative 6 divided by a 2 is going to give you a negative 3. Note how I'm keeping it in the parentheses. Ladies and gentlemen, anytime you square a negative number, it will always come out to a positive because it's a negative 3 times a negative 3, which will give me a positive 9. So here we have a plus 9. Okay? So let's completely complete the square, and let's get into the nitty-gritty of it all. Okay? The first step we want to do with this equation right here, okay? We want to make sure that we can go all the way through and get what we've got up here, okay, our perfect squares. So the first step here is we want to move the constants to the other side. So here I have a constant. So I want to subtract that 8 on both sides. So that's going to leave me with x squared plus 6x. This is gone. All equal to 8. 0 minus 8 is a negative 8. Be careful with that. Okay? The next step is going to be, we're going to take the next step of divide everything by the coefficient. Now this dividing everything by a coefficient section right here, if you notice here, our coefficient is a 1. Okay? So since it's a 1, we don't have to take that step. All right? We don't need to do anything. We'll see that on the next one. Next, we are going to, we want to make sure that we get our constants, we want to get our constants to the same side. Actually, we've already done that. Sorry, that'll come in the next problems. So next, we're going to need to add new number to both sides. Add the new number to both sides. So what this means is we have to take that b divided by 2 squared. So here we know that we're going to have x squared plus 6x plus something is going to be equal to negative 8. Now when we go to the side and we find that b divided by 2 squared, we have to make sure we add it to both sides. What we do to one, we have to do to the other to balance it out. Same reason we subtracted 8 from both sides of that equal sign. So we take this, we take the 6 right here, b, divided by 2 squared. We're going to wind up with 3 squared, giving us 9. So since we're adding 9 to one side, we have to add 9 to the other. So we wind up with x squared plus 6x plus 9, all equal to, well, a negative 8. We're adding 9, so we're going to get that 8 to get to 0 plus 1 more. It's going to be equal to 1. So now we do our factoring to figure out on the, where's the color I'm looking for? Number 4, factoring. This goes back up to what, take that middle number here, 6. What adds to equal 6, positive 6, and multiplies to equal 9? Well, that's going to be 3. So we're going to wind up with x, and that's all positive, plus 3 squared, all equal to 1. Okay, we're going to skip that step of x plus 3 times x plus 3 and just nail it right down to x plus 3 squared. And then don't forget your equal 1. So our next problem here, you can try it on your own. The only thing is we do have another step where we do have that coefficient in front of that x. Okay? So the first step we see is move our constants to the other side. So I need to add that 16 to both sides. This will cancel. So I wind up with 4x squared plus 8x, nothing here anymore, equals 16. Now we need to take that step of dividing both sides, dividing everything, okay, that everything by the coefficient. So what we need to do is we need to divide every single thing by that 4. Okay, so we can get our new equation. And then our new equation comes out to, well, 4, this cancels that out. That's the whole reason we're doing this. So we end up with x squared, 8x divided by 4 plus 2x, because 8 divided by 4 is 2, equals to 16 divided by 4 is 4. So now we're ready to take our last two steps. That b divided by 2 squared. So we have our x squared plus that 2x plus, we don't know yet, is all equal to 4. So let's take a look. Our b, which was 2, we're going to take 2 divided by 2 all squared. Well, 2 divided by 2 is just 1. Squared, 1. So we're going to add 1, making sure that we add it to both sides. Again, we need to keep it level. So our new equation is x squared plus 2x plus 1 is equal to 4 plus 1 is going to give us 5. Last step is just factoring it out. Asking ourselves, okay, so what adds to equal 2 and multiplies to equal 1? Well, the only thing that can multiply, we can get that 1 is 1. Okay, and 1 plus 1 is going to equal 2. So here we have x plus 1 squared is equal to 5. Okay, hopefully this is all coming back to you from algebra. Because now what we need to do is we need to actually apply this, but we're going to have to do it twice and add another step, because now remember, we have a y when we have an equation with our circle. Okay, so we're going to have to end up doing it twice now. All right, so taking a look at the next one, a circle can be written in the general form instead of the standard form. Your standard form is here. We're going to get it all into our, this is our general form. We're going to get it into our circle's equation. Okay, so we need to convert each one of these into standard form by completing the square, what we just did. Those two problems, A and B on example 2. The thing is, though, we have to do it to x and y. So what I want to see here, and I want you guys to see here, we're going to go ahead and write out some steps. Step 1 is going to be, this is the new step. We need to put x's and y's together on the left. Just group them together, okay? Step 2, what we want to do is move the constant to the right. And you're going to see from 2 on, it's going to be the exact same thing as what we had over here. Okay? Step 3, divide everything by the coefficient. Again, pause it if I'm writing too fast, because I am moving on, I know. Divide everything by the coefficient. Step 4, we're going to add new number for x and y this time. This is that b over 2 squared. We have to do it to both sides. So we'll be adding 2 numbers instead of just 1. And then that very, very last step is going to be that we're going to factor. That's just that what adds to get the middle number, the bx, and then multiplies to get c. Okay, so these are going to be, we only added 1 new step, and all that is to rearrange the equation. So if we look at A here, I'm going to notice I don't have a coefficient in front of x or y. So the good thing is that we get to skip step number 3 on this one. But let's start with step number 1. Put your x's and your y's together on the left. So here I'm going to take my x squared, and then I have a plus 10x over here. I want to get those together. Okay? And then I've got my y. Leave the constant alone right now. We're going to have our plus y squared. And over here I have a minus y, 4y. And then we have that plus 20. All equal to 0. Okay, get your x's and your y's together. Next, we need to move the constant to the right. So we need to get rid of it over here so it cancels out. subtract it from both sides, and we're going to wind up with a new equation. Rewrite everything on the left except for the 20, x squared plus 10x plus y squared minus 4y. This is gone, all equal to a negative 20. Be careful with that negative 20, okay? Again, all we're doing right now is we're just adding in the y squared and y. All right, so we're just going to have to factor twice in a little. We're going to have to do a couple different things for number 4 and number 5. We're going to do it twice now. Speaking of 4, let's go ahead and take a look. So now we're going to split these up. We're going to have x squared plus 10x plus something, exactly what we just did. Okay, but now we have to deal with our y. So now we have our plus y squared minus 4y plus something will be equal to the negative 20. See how we're just doing exactly what we just did right here. We're just having to do it twice because we have an x and we have a y. So here we're going to have to add twice. Okay? So let's take a look at the x over here. We look x, our b is 10. So we're going to have 10 divided by 2 squared. 10 divided by 2 will give you 5. Squared is 25. So we're going to add that 25 here, and don't forget to add it over here also. Okay? If we take a look at the y, b is a negative 4. So we're going to take negative 4 divided by 2 squared. Negative 4 divided by 2 is negative 2. Negative 2 squared, always going to come out positive, is going to give us that 4. So we plug in 4 and 4. And let's write our whole new equation here. Combine these terms. Here I have x squared plus 10x plus 25 plus y squared minus 4y plus 4. Notice I'm not combining those. The 25 goes with x, the 4 goes with y. These we do have to combine. Negative 20 plus a 25 will get me to a positive 5. Plus 4 will give me 9. So now we have to factor each one separately. We need to take our x section right here and factor it. Okay, figure out x plus or minus what squared. Well, what adds to give me a positive 10 and multiplies to give me 25? Well, 5. 5 times 5 is 25. 5 plus 5 is 10. And they're all positive, so we'll have x plus 5 squared. Okay? Then we go over to our y's, and we do the exact same thing. So it's just a little bit longer because we have to do it twice now. Right? So here, we'll take our y section. What adds to give me negative 4 and multiplies to give me a positive 4? Well, a negative 2. Negative 2 plus negative 2 gives me negative 4. Negative 2 times negative 2 gives me a positive 4. So because we have that negative right here, we know we're going to have a negative inside of our square here. So we have y minus 2 squared, all equal to 9. And we're done. That's our answer. Okay, because now you can see we have our h and our k, our center, and our radius squared. Right? And it's kind of lengthy. Right? Let's take a look at b. B, let's first, step 1, so put x's and y's together. So here I'm going to take 3x squared, and then I have a minus 6x. Okay, so minus 6x. Then I have a plus 3y squared plus 24 squared. Plus 24y plus the 24, all equal to 0. So now you can move the constant or you can divide, whichever one. Doesn't matter what order you do this in. If we want to follow the steps we had moved the constant. So we can move that constant over. We have a positive 24. We need to get rid of it. So we're going to subtract that 24. And we'll get 3x squared, just copying all this down, minus 3x plus 3y squared plus 24y. This is gone. We have equals negative 24. Now we need to notice that coefficient. We have coefficients in front of the x and y. They're both the same, so this makes it very, very easy. So all we have to do here is divide everything by that 3. So this is going to cancel this 3. giving me an x squared. Negative 6 divided by 3 will give me a negative 2x. And I'm going to, we'll just keep going. Here, that's going to cancel also. 3 divided by 3, we have a plus y squared. Then we have a plus 24y. 24 divided by 3 is 8, so now we have 8y equals negative 24 divided by 3 is a negative 8. Okay? So our next step is we need to add our new number in. Okay? So we're going to go down here, we're going to say, okay, x squared minus 2x plus, don't know yet, we're going to figure it out. There's our x part of it. Come over here to our y's, we have our plus y squared plus 8y plus, we don't know yet, all equal to the negative 8. We're going to have to add both the x, what we got for c for the x, and what we got for c for the y. Right? So for x, we've got a negative 2 for b. So we take negative 2 divided by 2 squared. We've actually already seen this. Negative 2 divided by 2 is a negative 1. Negative 1 squared is a 1. So we'll add 1 to both sides. And then if we take a look at our y, 8 is b. So we'll take 8 divided by 2 squared. 8 divided by 2 is 4. 4 squared will give me 16. So we add that 16 to both sides. Let's condense this down now. What do we have? X squared minus 2x plus 1. That'll be our x that we'll factor here in a moment. Plus y squared plus 8y plus 16. We'll factor the y in a minute. Equals, we have a negative 8 plus 1 will give me a negative 7. Then when I add that 16, I'm going to wind up with, same thing as the last problem. I'm going to wind up with a 9. So let's factor out now. All right? We're going to factor the x section right here. And we're going to say, okay, what adds to give me negative 2 and multiplies to give me negative 1, or sorry, positive 1? Well, we're going to have negative 1. Negative 1 plus negative 1 gives me negative 2. And negative 1 times negative 1 gives me a positive 1. So there's your x minus 1 squared. And then we will add, take a look over here. Put a little plus sign there. Well, what adds to give me 4? The same number. Okay, it has to be the same number. What same number adds to give me 4? Well, 8 divided by 2 is, sorry, it gives you 8. I'm giving you the answer. 4. And 4 times 4 is 16. So all I have to do is really divide b by 2, and that's going to be the number we're going to place in here, okay? So we'll have y, and it is going to be, both of these are positive, so it'll be a plus 4 squared, all equal to 9. And there's our final answer. That's the longer one because you have to do the coefficient, all right? The last problem, we're going to graph it, but good news is we don't have the coefficient, so we just have to go through 4 of these steps. Let's put our x's and y's together. Step 1. X squared, we have a plus 14x. And then our y's, plus y squared. Plus, we don't have anything there. So what that means is, well, we'll see that in a minute. We have nothing else here. So we have our plus 45. We have nothing else with the y. All equal to 0. Next, we'll move that constant. So subtract 45 from both sides. And we're going to get x squared plus 14x plus y. These are gone. Sorry about y squared. Nothing here. All equal to negative 45. There is no coefficient to divide by. So now we'll go straight into, let's figure out what we're adding or what we're subtracting. Here we get x squared plus 14y plus, we're going to have to figure out what goes here. Okay. Now what I want you to take a look at is the y squared. There is no b to go to the side and say b divided by 2 squared. Okay, so we're done with y. When there is no, y, there's only y squared, there's nothing to add or subtract here. So we just go straight to equals negative 45. Okay, so over here we look at, okay, b, 14. 14 divided by 2 squared. So we get 7 squared is going to give us 49. And what's great about that is when you divide that, you automatically get what you're going to be factoring here. Okay? So next, again, the only thing we have to factor, there's nothing to factor with y. So we have to take this. So what number, the same number that adds to equal 14, or what number multiplies by 2 to get to 14 and squares to get to 49? Well, we already found 14 divided by 2 is 7. So we wind up with x, and they're both positive, plus 7 squared, and we just have a plus y squared. Okay, there's no factoring that. Oh, we forgot to add the 49 over here. Whoopsie. There we go. All going to be equal to negative 45 plus 49. We're going to wind up with a positive 4. Okay? So in order to actually graph this, we've got to find our center, and we've got to find our radius. So remembering our center is going to be our h and k. So here we have your h is actually going to end up being, it's going to be the opposite. It's a negative 7. And then y, we're not adding or subtracting. We didn't factor anything out, so that just ends up being 0. Okay, since there's nothing here. And then our radius, we remember, is going to be, this is our radius squared. So we have the square root of 4 giving us 2. So we'll go find our center at negative 7, 0. So we go negative 7 on x, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 0 on y, so we stay right there. Radius is 2. Up, down, left, and right 2, so that we could find our circle. And there you go. I know it's a lot, but this is straight review from Algebra 1. Watch it again if you need to.